Jiva boliya eshe samsara तुम्हारे लोईते आमी होई हमें बिना बंधु के आछे माया नशीबार हरि नाम महामंत्र तुम्हें मांगे हरि नाम भक्ति विनोद प्रभु चरणे पड़िया श्री हरि नाम मंत्र लइलो मागिया श्री हरि नाम लइलो मागिया Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So this is the standard morning melody. Strictly speaking, only strictly speaking, this melody is generally not chanted after noon. The morning melody is usually reserved for the morning, and morning means till noon. The earlier the better. So this Jiva Jago melody is the standard. So if you ever want to remember which melody is the standard melody for singing the Mahamantra in the morning, just remember the Jiva Jago melody. So even if you want to chant Sansara Dava, the same melody. Can someone chant the Jiva Jago, just the first line? Who would like to chant? Want to try?
Jiva Jago, Jiva Jago, Gora Chanda Bole.
Now chant Sansara Dava in the same melody.
Sansara Dava, Navina Loka, Pranaya Karunya.
Perfect. You got it. Anyone else want to try? Sajana.
Jiva Jago, Jiva Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole, Samsara Dava Naranida Loka, Pranaya Karanya Gana Gana Tvam.
Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Excellent. This is the traditional way, the Gaudiya way of singing in the morning. Although we don't follow it so strictly in ISKCON, in the sense that in the morning we do sing this, but we also sing it sometimes in the evening, or because the holy name is more important, the raga, the melody is not that important. But if you want to be a stickler for protocol, then this is it. Yes? So in some temples, they're very strict about it. And the Gaudiya Math, very particular. Anyone else would like to sing the first line of the Jiva Jago song and then the Sansara Dava Mahamantra, just to see that you've got it? Anyone? Yeah.
Jiva Jago, Jiva Jago, Gaura Chandra Bole, Samsara Dava Nalavina Loka, Pranaya Karunya Gana Gana Svam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Perfect. And can someone else do it? Mehir, you want to try? Okay. Perfect, excellent. And now can someone chant the higher melody, the higher note for the Mahamantra? Who would like to sing the higher note? You want to sing the higher note? You're singing well when I came. Sing the lower one. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then after you finish that, you sing the one Mahamantra in the higher note after that.
Krishna Krishna,
Yeah, sing the first one with the lower note.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Now the higher note. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Perfect, excellent. Anyone else wants to try it? The Mahamantra now in the lower note and then the high note in the morning. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Excellent. Also the previous one, Jiva Jagos part 2, but the first one is Udilo Aruna. That also goes in the same melody. Udilo Aruna Purabhage Dujamani Gora Amani Jage. Like that. And in the morning time, this melody was chanted especially when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go on the streets of Navadvip with a group of devotees doing the Harinam Sankirtan. And this melody especially suited for a certain kind of dancing. So who would like to exhibit that? Anyone like to do it? He'll sing for you and you can. Give him a little space. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare.
Fine. Very good. Anyone else? How did Mahaprabhu dance? Because we're talking Mahaprabhu mission. This is it. This is his mission. Chanting the Mahamantra and dancing and singing. Yeah? Who else would like to? Shall I demonstrate it?
Vivo!
Of course, you don't have much space. Yeah. Okay?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
It's called the famous Swami step. When Prabhupada started this, the devotees in the early days of the movement, they called it the Swami step. Have you heard of it, this term? Because Prabhupada used to dance like that, and that's how Mahaprabhu used to dance. So, in New York, when Prabhupada started ISKCON, and Prabhupada used to dance like this, and he used to teach the devotees to dance like that. So this became known from that time, in 1966, as the Swami step. Yeah, so that's the standard dance that we have. Sometimes we have very unique and colorful ways of dancing, and I've seen teeth getting broken, I've seen spectacles getting broken. Yes? Being enthusiastic is one thing. We can be very enthusiastic in dancing. Mahaprabhu also used to do that. When you're enthusiastic, you jump. But the main pose has to be the same. It's more or less the same. You can just do it more. Maybe you can jump more. You can go from place to place. You can hop from here to there and back. Yeah? You know, hopping means you don't just stay at one place. You could also do that. You actually go like this. Anyone want to show that? Show the hopping Swami step? Yeah? Would like to show. You need a little space.
Camera's away. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Bas, that's it. That's Mahaprabhu's mission. Lecture over. Okay, let's see somebody else doing that. Who'd like to do that? Any volunteers? Before I pick? Come, who'll do that? Quick. Come, you can do it. Okay, start.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, H
Is it some entertainment or some physical fitness or what? What is the goal of the Harinam Sankirtan? Yeah?
Pure love of God.
Absolutely. Pure love of Godhead. Wonderful. So distributing this pure love of Godhead everywhere without discrimination is really what Mahaprabhu's movement, his mission is all about. I want to read to you a passage from the Adi Leela of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, chapter 9. And some verses from this describe beautifully, succinctly, what Mahaprabhu's mission is. And once Mahaprabhu in his own words has described what his mission is, or Kaviraj Goswami has described, then we'll talk about the first part of the title of today's talk. What is the exact title of today's talk?
Investing in Mahaprabhu's mission.
Investing in Mahaprabhu's mission. So the first part of the reading here will be Mahaprabhu's mission. And then the second half of the same series of verses will be investing. What is the meaning of investing? You place some resource that you have into something with the expectation of some future gain. Is that not what, and all of you are many of you are business experts and finance experts. How many of you are in business and finance? Raise your hand. One. Okay, quite a few there. So you invest some resource into something, and you have an expectation that there will be some gain, either now or in the future. You put some money in some stocks, hoping that after some time the money will appreciate. The stocks will become more valuable. You invest some money in a property thinking that after 5 years it will become more valuable. You can sell it and reap a good profit. But this is only about money. But you invest your time. You consider something very enjoyable, something very valuable. You invest your time in that because you hope to get something out of it that is very valuable to you. You invest your energy, you invest your belongings, you invest your reputation, you invest so many things in order to get something valuable in return. That's what an investment is all about. So once we've heard what Mahaprabhu's mood and his mission is, then we'll see what is the investment that Mahaprabhu expects us to do. That's very interesting. So let's hear about Mahaprabhu's mission first. It starts from verse 6 of the 9th chapter, in which Kaviraj Goswami says, I take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is himself the tree of transcendental love of Krishna, his gardener, and also the bestower and enjoyer of its fruits. So we're talking of a special tree here. That tree is called Krishna Prema Mara Taruhu. Taru means tree. Amar means eternal or transcendental. So this transcendental tree is a tree of Krishna Prema, love of Godhead. So this is the transcendental tree that is going to be the topic of our discussion. So we're going to talk of horticulture now. Horticulture and botany a little bit, but mostly horticulture. So see, Krishna consciousness covers everything. Finance, horticulture, all fields of study are included in Krishna consciousness. So Mahaprabhu is himself Krishna Premamara Swayam, Taruhu Swayam. So he himself is a tree of the pure love of Godhead. He is also the gardener, Malakar. He himself is also the giver, the bestower and the enjoyer of the fruits of this tree. Kaviraj Goswami goes on to say that Mahaprabhu thinks, my name is Vishwambhara. Vishwambhara means one who maintains the entire universe. And my name will not be actualized till I fill the universe with love of Godhead, Krishna Prema. Only when I fill the universe with Krishna Prema will I live up to my name as the maintainer of the universe. And then he says, thinking in this way, Mahaprabhu, what did he do? He accepted the duty of a gardener, Malakar, or Mali. You know what a Mali is? A Mali is a gardener, or a Malakar. So he took up the role of a gardener and began to plant a fruit garden in Navadvip, Anudyan. Udyan means garden, Phala means fruit. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assumed the role of a gardener and started tending a garden of fruits, of beautiful trees and fruits in Navadvip. And what was the tree that he planted first? The desired tree of pure devotional service. Shri Chaitanya Malakara Prithivitayani Bhakti Kalpa Taru Ropila Sinchi Ichhapani. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought this Bhakti Kalpa Taru. Kalpa Taru is the desired tree. The desired tree of devotional service. What is a desired tree? Can you say? What's the meaning of a desired tree? One that fulfills all your desires. Chintamani prakara satmashu kalpa vriksha lakshavriteshu surabhira vipalayantam. So in the spiritual world in Goloka Vrindavan, there are kalpa vriksha, there are desire trees which can fulfill any desire that you may have. That's what a desire tree is. But in the spiritual world, nobody desires anything wrong. And therefore, the kalpa vrikshas are a cause of great happiness, unending joy. But in the material world, people have the tendency to ask for all the wrong things. And therefore, a kalpa vriksha here becomes very dangerous and even deadly. Once upon a time, there was this traveler who was going through the forest. He just about reached the edge of the forest, and already it was sundown. And he was very exhausted, having walked all day long. He was tired, he was thirsty, he was hungry, and he was also afraid of the darkness. So he came under the tree and he just sat there, thinking, oh, I'm so hungry. I wish I had some food here, some nice, delicious food. And what happened? Lo and behold, in front of him there was suddenly this appeared a huge feast. And he was struck with wonder, where did this materialize from? And then he said it's here, so he ate it, he enjoyed it. And then he started thinking, oh, I wish I could have some nice bed to sleep on because I'm so tired. And lo and behold, there was some bed that appeared out of the blue with all soft cushions and silken linen and everything like that. And he lay down on the bed. And then he realized there's something here. Why is it that everything I think comes true? So maybe I'm sitting under a kalpa vriksha, a wish-fulfilling tree. Maybe this is one of those trees, the kalpa vrikshas. And then as he was thinking, he said, my God, it's dark here, it's the end of the jungle, and there are dangerous animals roaming in the forest. Oh, we should chat during the class. So there are animals roaming in the forest. What if a tiger would come and he would eat me? And what happened? He was under a wish-fulfilling tree. So there the tiger came and ate him. So that's how the material world, a wish-fulfilling tree would be very deadly. It's good we don't have these wish-fulfilling trees here. But in the spiritual world, people know how to desire what to desire. They only desire things that are in Krishna consciousness. So therefore, everything is all auspicious then. So in any case, this bhakti, this devotional service is like a wish-fulfilling tree. And Mahaprabhu brought this tree down from Goloka Vrindavan all the way to the earth, and he specifically brought it to Navadvip. And then he planted it there, and he became his gardener. And he sowed the seed and sprinkled upon it the water of his will. And then, after he had planted it, and he started sprinkling it or irrigating it with the water of his will, it first fructified in the form of a little bud. And that bud was called Sri Madhavendra Puri. Have you heard of him? He was a great Acharya. He was a grand spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a storehouse of the love of Godhead. Ecstatic love of Godhead. And anyone who met with him or interacted with him would also become a pure ecstatic lover of God. This was his potency. And then Kaviraj Goswami says, this bud or the seed became further fructified in the form of Ishwara Puri. Ishwara Puri was Madhavendra Puri's most beloved disciple, and he was also the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then, after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who was a disciple of Ishwar Puri, became the trunk, the main trunk of this tree. And the trunk of the tree of devotional service is none other than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So by his inconceivable powers, Kaviraj Goswami says, the Lord became the gardener, the trunk and the branches simultaneously. And there were 9 roots that sprung up from this tree. That was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as you know, the roots go into the soil. So these 9 roots were 9 sannyasis who were the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One of these roots was in the middle, in the center, and the other 8 were in the 8 directions under the earth. And the central root was Paramananda Puri. And the other sannyasis like Brahmananda Bharati, Brahmananda Puri, Keshav Bharati, etc., they were all the other roots. And it was on these 9 roots that the tree of devotional service rested firmly. Meaning that these were the staunch followers and associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Kaviraj Goswami says that this trunk grew, and of course it had many branches. And the branches of the Chaitanya tree then formed a cluster with great branches covering the entire universe. From each branch grew many hundreds of sub-branches. No one can count how many such sub-branches grew. And on top of the tree, the trunk divided into 2. So the main trunk got into 2 parts. One part was called Nityananda Prabhu, and the other part was called Advaita Acharya. And each of those 2 sub-trunks also had numerous branches and sub-branches, too many to enumerate and count. And thus the branches and sub-branches and sub-sub-branches became so large and so many that it is impossible to count them. And they spread all over the world. And Kaviraj Goswami says that just as a big fig tree produces figs from all parts of the tree, similarly this tree of devotional service bore the fruit of Krishna prema from everywhere, from every part of its body. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that imagine there was a tree made entirely of sugar. Can you imagine such a tree? Just imagine. Here's a tree, it's sugar, made of sugar, the trunk, the roots, the branches, the leaves, fruits, flowers, everything is just sugar. Sweet. And if you start licking that tree from anywhere, whether it's a fruit, flower, root, branch, anywhere, it'll still be sweet. Similarly, this tree of devotional service, the Chaitanya tree, is a transcendental tree. And therefore, every part of that tree can perform the function of any other part of the tree. That's the nature of spiritual body. In the spiritual body, not just Krishna's body, but even when you go back to Godhead, you are going back. It's only a matter of time. So when you go back to Godhead, you'll have a spiritual body. And with that spiritual body, you'll be able to accomplish the functions of all the senses with any given sense. Krishna does that all the time anyway. He accepts the food that we offer him with his eyes. We need our mouth to eat food, but Krishna can eat with his eyes. And eating is the same quality. So similarly, this tree of devotional service is also transcendental. And it has so many parts like Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping. And you can do any one of these and you can attain the perfection of life. And then Kaviraj Goswami says, so the taste of the fruits that grew on the branches and sub-branches surpassed the taste of nectar. So these were delicious fruits. and the fruits ripened and thus became sweet and nectarian. The gardener Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed them without asking any price. Free, no money to anyone. Of course, Nityananda Prabhu has also opened a Namhatta, a market of the holy name. And he was selling the holy name for the price of faith. To the degree you had faith in the holy name, you would be able to purchase more and more of the holy name and the transcendental ecstasy from Nityananda Prabhu. But Mahaprabhu was willing to give it free to everyone. All the wealth in the three worlds cannot equal the value of one such nectarian fruit of devotional service. In other words, a little bit of the taste of pure love of Godhead is more valuable than all the wealth of the universe put together. And then he cites some important verses. Mage vana mage kyo patra va apatra ihara vichara nahi jane de matra. Not considering who asked for it and who did not, who was fit and who was unfit to receive it, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed the fruit of devotional service. And I'll read the few lines of the purport. Please hear with attention because this is essentially the topic for today. Purport. This is the sum and substance of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. There is no distinction made between those who are fit and those who are not fit to hear or take part in the Sankirtan movement. It should therefore be preached without discrimination. The only purpose of the preachers of the Sankirtan movement must be to go on preaching without restriction. That is the way in which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced this Sankirtan movement to the world. And then Kaviraj Goswami says, the transcendental gardener Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed handful after handful of fruit in all directions, and when the poor hungry people ate the fruit, the gardener smiled with great pleasure. Who are these poor hungry people? They may have been materially poor or they may not have been materially poor, but spiritually they were poor. And when they tasted this fruit of pure devotional service, they started experiencing nectar and they became really wealthy. And then Mahaprabhu started speaking to all his branches and sub-branches. Since the tree of devotional service is transcendental, every one of its parts can perform the action of all the others. Although a tree is supposed to be immovable, this tree nevertheless moves. All the parts of this tree are spiritually cognizant, and thus as they grow up, they spread all over the world. And now Mahaprabhu makes a plea. He says, I am the only gardener. How many places can I go? How many fruits can I pick up and distribute? It would certainly be a very laborious task to pick up the fruits and distribute them alone. And still I suspect that some would receive them and others would not. Therefore, I order every man within this universe to accept this Krishna consciousness movement and distribute it everywhere. In the purport that Srila Prabhupada cites two paragraphs, two stanzas of the song we just sung, Jiva Jago, Jiva Jago. So that really speaking encapsulates this, the spirit of Mahaprabhu's mission. Then he says, I am the only gardener. If I do not distribute these fruits, what shall I do with them? How many fruits can I eat alone? By the transcendental desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, water has been sprinkled all over the tree, and thus there are innumerable fruits of love of Godhead. Distribute this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Let people eat these fruits and ultimately become free from old age and death. If the fruits are distributed all over the world, My reputation as a pious man will be known everywhere, and thus all people will glorify my name with great pleasure. Prabhupada says in the purport, this prediction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now actually coming to pass. Because the Krishna consciousness movement was already spreading all over the world, even in his time. And then he speaks that very famous verse. Which one is that? Bharat bhumite janma hoila jar, janma sarthaka kari kara para upakar. How many of you have heard this verse before? Raise your hand. Okay, excellent. Anyone would like to chant this verse and explain its meaning, the translation? Anyone? Yeah?
I can say the English.
Okay, English.
It goes something like, if you're born in the land of Bharat,
Little louder.
if you're born in the land of Bharat or India, then it is your duty to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya.
Okay, that's good. Bharata Bhumite, that is in the land of Bharat or India. Janma hoila jar. Whoever takes his birth in that holy land of India, Janma sarthaka kari, he has the responsibility to make his own life successful. Kara para upakar, and also help make the lives of other people successful. This is the duty Mahaprabhu says. So this is a very famous verse. So shall we recite this verse? And by the way, in the last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, this is not only the duty of Indians, but the duty of everyone. And we are very happy that American and European boys and girls are seriously cooperating with this movement. One should definitely know that the best welfare activity for all of human society is to awaken man's God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Therefore, everyone should help this movement. So just in case you heaved a sigh of relief and said, I never took my birth in India, so I'm off the hook. No, Prabhupada says, wherever you've taken birth, it is the duty of every person to participate in this movement and to spread it everywhere. So in the beginning of the purport, Prabhupada says, the magnanimity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressed in this very important verse. Although he was born in Bengal and Bengalis therefore have a special duty towards him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is addressing not only Bengalis but all the inhabitants of India. It is in the land of India that actual human civilization can be developed. Most of you are from an Indian background, even if you are not born in India. And as Prabhupada says in the last verse of this purport, that even if you have nothing to do with India, if you are born in some other country, ethnically something else, still it is your duty to participate in this movement and spread it everywhere. So what we have to do is we have to become gardeners, and we have to become wholesale and retail distributors of fruits, horticulturists. What is that fruit called? Avocado, cherry, what's that fruit called? The fruit of? Prema, Krishna Prema. So we have to hold these Krishna Prema fruits and go out and distribute. Come, take. No, I don't want. No, please take it. Even if someone doesn't feel like tasting it, because I don't know, I've never seen this fruit before. It's delicious, take it. So we have to give this fruit to everyone, distribute it, wholesale, retail, everything. We have to set up our wholesale shops, retail shops everywhere. And we have to taste this fruit ourselves too. In other words, we have to chant ourselves. To taste the fruit means to actually chant the holy names. And then you taste that love of Godhead. and then you distribute it by chanting to everybody else. So then, now, investment. What is our investment? What do we invest in this movement? Very famous. Okay, before that, let's recite the Bharata Bhumite Janma Hoila Charvas. So just recite after me. Bharata Bhumite Hoila Manushya Janma Jar. Janma Sardhaka Kari Kara Para Upakar. Bharata Bhumite Hoila Manushya Janma Jar. Janma Sardhaka Kari Kara Para Upakar. I'll repeat the translation again. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. And in the next verse, Mahaprabhu cites or quotes a famous verse from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Krishna himself. When Krishna and Balaram were going for a walk, or they were grazing the cows actually, and it was quite hot. And Krishna was appreciating the service rendered by the trees, because they give shelter and shade to everyone. They give themselves up to everyone. Even when someone comes to cut the trees don't protest. But they still give their fruit in their flowers and leaves and their bark and their roots, and every part of a tree has so many good qualities. So therefore, we have to be like trees. Krishna glorifies the life of trees. And if any human being learns to live like a tree, sacrificing his life for others to give them the highest benefit, which is Krishna consciousness, then that person's life will be perfect. And what is the verse that Krishna says? Please repeat after me. Etavaj janma sapalyam Dehinam iha dehishu Pranayarthe dhiya vacha Shreya acharanam sada. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. Shreya. Shreya means ultimate benefit. Shreyas. Prayas means temporary benefit. Prabhupada gives the example of a school child who doesn't like to go to school, wants to play. But the parents understand how important it is for the welfare of this child that he or she should go to school. So therefore, even though the child doesn't want it, the parents force the child to go. Immediate benefit, the child wants to play. But the parents are looking at the real benefit. If the child ignores school and becomes a dropout in school, then his whole future career and everything will be compromised. So the parent wants the child to go through his educational process. So similarly for us, the pleasures of this world may appear very tempting, and they are indeed great distractions, but they are prayers. Only immediately relishable, but afterwards they're not relishable. They create a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. On the other hand, what is ultimately beneficial for human beings is Krishna consciousness. As we take to the process of Krishna consciousness, gradually we begin to feel happy. And then we want to share it with everyone. So Krishna says here, Pranair Arthair Dhiya Vacha. With these four we should serve others. We should serve the whole world by giving them Krishna consciousness. Pranay means your life. So first of all, you should give your life for this movement. We're talking of investment. So invest your life in this movement, in this Krishna consciousness movement. If you can't invest your life, artha, invest your money in this movement. At least give a bit of your money for Krishna consciousness. Dhiya, give your intelligence for this movement. Vacha, speak, give your words for this movement. So these are the things we should invest, because these are our resources. These are the resources we have at our disposal. Our very life, our money, our intelligence, our words. Yes? And when we invest these, the returns will be very, very significant. You see, when there's a fantastic investment opportunity, sure, short returns. It's not a scam, it's a real thing. Right? It's a real investment where you invest something, you get 1,000,000% return in a very short span of time. Unthinkable returns. And if someone says, no, I'll just invest £1. And someone says, no, it's such a brilliant opportunity, I'll invest all my savings. I'll invest £100,000 in that, because then I'm going to get a return that is millionfold. It's a matter of faith. So similarly, the more we invest in this movement, the more we will relish it, the more ecstasy we will experience, the more taste we will get, the more happy we will be, and the more we will be able to spread this movement to everyone and give them Krishna consciousness. So remember these 4 words, even if you can't remember the whole verse. The verse is actually Etavat Janma Sapalyam. That means human life is successful. Praninam Dehinam Iha Dehishu. That one should perform for other people who are living in this material body. Shreya Acharanam Sada. Do Shreyas, activities of ultimate welfare work for them. With these 4 things. Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha. So what are the 4? Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha. Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha. Now say it.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Again.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
One by one. Anyone? Yeah. Someone said it? Say it. No, don't.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Okay. Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha. Okay. Anyone else? Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha. Okay. Who else? One by one. Let's have rapid fire. Quick.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Okay. Great. Yes.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Okay. Good. Who else?
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Great. Rapid fire. Yeah.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Okay.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Great. Who else? Quick.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Great.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Vacha. Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Wonderful.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Wonderful.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Great.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Wonderful.
Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha.
Excellent. So what does it mean? What is pranay? Life. Arthay? Money. I can give my life, but money don't ask me. Yes, money is honey. The taste of money is so sweet, yes? Okay, so prana means life, artha means money. Then diya is intelligence, vacha, words. So what is it that we have to invest in Mahaprabhu's mission? Our life, our wealth, our intelligence, our words. And the more of these things that you invest, the more will be the returns that you will get. And the more you will be able to do welfare work for the whole world. And then Mahaprabhu continues, by his work, thoughts and words, an intelligent man must perform actions which will be beneficial for all living entities in this life and the next. I am merely a gardener. I have neither a kingdom nor very great riches. I simply have some fruits and flowers that I wish to utilize to achieve piety in my life. Although I am acting as a gardener, I also want to be the tree, for thus I can bestow benefit upon all. Just see how these trees are maintaining every living entity. Their birth is successful. Their behavior is just like that of great personalities, for anyone who asks anything from a tree never goes away disappointed. The descendants of the tree, that is, the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, were very glad to receive this order directly from the Lord. The fruit of love of Godhead is so tasteful that whenever a devotee distributes it, those who relish the fruit anywhere in the world immediately become intoxicated. The fruit of love of Godhead distributed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is such a great intoxicant that anyone who eats it, filling his belly, immediately becomes maddened by it and automatically chants, dances, laughs and enjoys. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and some of them are rolling on the floor, and some of them are making loud humming sounds, he smiles with great pleasure. The great gardener Lord Chaitanya personally eats this fruit, and as a result he remains constantly mad, as if helpless and bewildered. With his Sankirtan movement, the Lord made everyone mad like himself. We do not find anyone who is not intoxicated by his Sankirtan movement. Persons who had formerly criticized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, calling him a drunkard, also ate the fruit and began to dance, saying, very good, very good. So that is our mission, to hate the whole world intoxicated with transcendental brew of Krishna Prema. And what's the distilling mechanism to make that brew? What's the distillery? Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the holy names of the Lord. So to live a life in Krishna consciousness, to develop your love of God in oneself, and side by side to distribute it to everyone in the world, is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what is the investment that we have to make in it? Prana irarthe diya. To whatever degree you can, make your investment and reap your rewards. The rewards are rich. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
As deep as the Akash. Yes, thank you for hosting us this evening. And thanks to your parents as well. Are your parents here? Yes. Hare Krishna. So thank you for your hospitality. Hare Krishna. And thank you all of you for having come this evening. And any questions for now? Who thought of this topic, by the way? You thought of this topic? How did you think of the word invest?
I think I heard from someone else. Business conference.
just before I came, I was asking Kishan, what's the topic? He said, investing in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in Mahaprabhu's mission. So I said, what's the purport of the investment? What does it mean? Then I reflected, then I thought of this passage. He said, yeah, that's exactly the answer to that topic. Yes? It speaks of the mission and it also speaks of what we can invest and the rewards that we will get. Hare Krishna. It's better than any investment banking, I can assure you. Yes? How many investment bankers here? Only one, right? But actually, you're all investment bankers. You know, many years ago, we used to have this Hare Krishna Bank. Do you know about that? No, this was not money. Some people sponsored empty notebooks which just had the first line, which had the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and it was a lined notebook. And then people had to write with their hands Mahamantra or on every page of that, on every line and every page of that book. And then they had to deposit it with us. And then they would get credit in their bank account for how many Mahamantras they had written. So there were devotees who gave so many books. It became a craze at one time. Somehow then we didn't continue that. This was like way back in the early 90s. So we had so many books. And then what we would do was, when there was inauguration of a new temple, the Bhumi Puja, when you dig the ground and you place Ananta Shesha there, and then we would place these books over there. Inside would be the foundation of the temple. So we had this Hare Krishna Bank, and we had many wealthy people there. They were wealthy because they had the holy name of them. That is real wealth. So that's investment banking. Real investment banking. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Yes. Hare Krishna.
I can see how we can invest our work and our wealth in this mission. After whatever happens, we invest our life and our intelligence.
And your intelligence? Exactly as you do now. You're asking a good question, thinking about it. Yes, you're trying to understand what Mahaprabhu is saying, what Krishna is saying. You're trying to understand it with your intelligence. And having understood it, you will now explain it to others. Because even when you repeat, you have to use your intelligence. And with your intelligence, you'll also try to devise new ways in which this movement can be expanded. How to preach, how to distribute books, how to attract more and more conditioned souls to Krishna consciousness. So you'll use your intelligence to make plans, to manage things, to organize things. Right? So that's how you can use your intelligence. As far as investing your life, one extreme is that you renounce, but that very few will do. And give your 24 hours for Krishna. But those who don't also can invest their life by living internally a life like that, a life that is completely dedicated to Krishna. So even if somebody cannot give one's entire life to Krishna, exclusively, without any other work, one can significantly serve this mission very much. Yes?
Just one more question.
Yes, sure.
It's a little bit technical, but you said that Lord Nityananda is selling the holy name at the price of faith, and Mahaprabhu is giving it freely.
No. Mahaprabhu also, even Nityananda Prabhu is giving it free in the sense that he doesn't take anything material. I didn't mean to say that Nityananda Prabhu wasn't as merciful as Mahaprabhu. On the contrary, he is more merciful than Mahaprabhu. In fact, to get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Yes. But the question is that we can receive it to the degree we have faith. Someone gives you money, but if you think, oh, this is a fake note, and you throw it away, well, what can be done? Right? It's like that. Yes.
So I always have a hard time reconciling these two concepts, that on one side we have Mahaprabhu who is giving Krishna's mercy to everyone, giving the holy name to everyone. And then on the other side we have the ninth offense, which is to instruct a faithless person on the chapter of the Krishna Mahaprabhu. So how do you reconcile the two?
Okay, the question is that how do we reconcile these two apparently contradictory points? On one hand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was spreading the holy name everywhere, and then the ninth offense to the chanting of the holy names is that you don't... What is the ninth offense? Exactly, give me the exact wording.
To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy names.
Say that again.
To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy names.
To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. So what was Mahaprabhu doing? Just giving it. He wasn't sitting and telling them all the shastric truths about the holy name and the philosophical and theological abstractions of the holy name. He was simply just giving it. Gratis. That's the difference. Any other questions? So will you all invest in Mahaprabhu's mission?
Yes.
What will you invest? Pranay, Arthay, Dhiya, Vacha. Yeah.
Nice. Why is Paramananda Puri the central route? Why?
Because he's the senior most amongst them. He's the senior most amongst the sannyasis. And Prabhupada in that purport has given a brief bio of each of these sannyasis. Any other questions? Comments? Yeah.
Thank you for asking. The point of Pranaya, giving your life, doesn't that include already the other two, your intelligence, words, and your money? So what's the distinction of what you mean by saying you give your life? Because there's life already incorporated anyway.
Yes. The question is that the first one is pranay, which means to give up your life. Not give up your life, but to give your life. So when you speak of giving your life to Mahaprabhu's mission, wouldn't that include your money, your words, your intelligence? Yes, indeed. But not everybody can do that. And some people give a portion of their life, not everything. Some people may say, well, that's too much for me. But money, yeah, I can give something. Okay, you want me to speak something about Krishna? I can do that. Or I can use my intelligence and help you organize something for Krishna. So it's like that. Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about the interplay between give them in a group and the focus and emphasis on that versus focus and emphasis on Sankirtan, which is on the streets, and how do they relate to each other? As far as we understand.
both are the same in the sense that some kirtan means kirtan that is done collectively. Bahubhir militva kirtayati iti sankirtanam. Bahubhi, many people, militva, coming together, kirtayati, doing kirtan. That is called sankirtan. Samyak kirtan. So when many devotees get together and chant and do kirtan, that's called sankirtan. So sankirtan can be done in the home, where there are faithful devotees, and that's certainly very beneficial. However, when we go out into the streets, then there are so many people out there who may be faithful, some may not be faithful, some may be partly faithful. So you're spreading the holy name everywhere. You're distributing the mercy everywhere, far and wide. That's why Haridas Thakur says chanting loudly is better than chanting softly, because when you chant loudly you can help so many others. When you chant softly you only help yourself. Not yesterday, when was it? Day before yesterday night, evening in the temple, there was a program. And I was narrating the example of a family in the US, devotee family that had a parrot that was caged in their house. And the parrot was chanting Hare Krishna. Obviously the family had taught the parrot to chant Hare Krishna. So it would go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So when I came to the house, I thought it was some kid who was, saying it. And then I realized it's the parrot that's saying it. Of course, it's a little cruel to keep a bird confined to a cage when a bird is meant to be flying everywhere. Right? So I said, you should release the bird. And what's more, let the bird go out and chant Hare Krishna everywhere. And let all the parrots become devotees. This parrot will go and mingle with other parrots. Can you imagine all the parrots in America become devotees? Not just the parrots, the other birds will also hear that. The trees in the forest will hear that. The insects will hear the chanting of Hare Krishna. So the benefits are enormous, unimaginable. So when we go out in the streets to chant Hare Krishna, we have no clue how many people will get benefited. Even sitting here in the room when we chant, we have no idea how many people or how much benefit can come out of this. How many living entities are here in this room? Any idea? How many? Rough figure? Can anyone give a rough estimate? 35, 40. Okay, anyone else? How many living entities in this room?
Demigods.
50. How many living entities? Any idea? Billions. Why? Yes, every cubic centimeter of air has so many germs. Right? You can't see them. They're there. Our body has millions of bacteria. And many of them are good bacteria, which are necessary for helping us digest our food and so on. Yes? So these are all living entities. So when we chant Hare Krishna in this room, Millions of souls are getting benefited. Can you imagine that? Even the bacteria within our body, that germs in the air everywhere. So it's unimaginable how much benefit there is. Of course, in England you don't have mosquitoes and flies like you do in India. But if you do this in India, even the mosquitoes and flies and roaches and everyone will also get benefited. Very bold. Any other last comment or question? Okay, thank you very much. I think we did what we usually do at the end, we did that in the beginning. We had some kirtan and songs, so we wind up here. What's the time now? 7:40. Okay. Alright, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Premanande. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj ki jai. We have 3 really loud Haribols from Maharaj.